Get it together. We don't have any music tonight. Usually,
Oh,
I try to have a little music and
I
stuff,
should have
but
gave you some of my boy Nick Barnes. He got a new
yes,
single out.
please do, because actually I'm going to be start doing some listening parties. So I want to make sure that artists, not necessarily like unsigned artists, but independent artists, that they get the shine that they deserve, because there's so much talent out there. Like, oh my God, I'm so amazed. Once I get my list of songs that I need to listen to from the urban influencers, I can't believe it. I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow, like this is stuff you don't hear on the radio really all like that or whatever. They're not getting the plays and all through the day.
Yeah.
But it's amazing, and I'm so glad there's a platform. I'm glad that I have a platform to continue to share that music, because oh my goodness, it's amazing. Please do, when you have a
Yeah.
chance, do send me
I'll
some of
send
that
I'll send
music.
I'll send it over to you later.
I would love that. Let me do oh, it's 7:30. Peace and good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Yananomics podcast. I am your host, Empress Ayana. Oh man, I wish I had some of those things that like make sounds like the horns and oh man, I'll be on it right now. Like I'll be really just making my introduction like real crazy. But thank you so much for joining us tonight for Affair Proofing Your Marriage, facilitated and created by MLB Speaks. Thank you so much for your patience,
We
and we're
appreciate it.
starting 30 minutes late, but we're here, and I appreciate you for your patience. Um, Please do tell the people a little bit about yourself.
Well, we are MLB Speaks, Team Barrett, as we tell everyone, and we're a couple married 26 years this year, and we grew up together in the same neighborhood, and we were next door neighbors. We have a jokingly always tell everybody we think it was like an arranged marriage, but actuality it wasn't. You would think so. And when we were kids, back in our days, they used to play this game called Boys Chase the Girls.
Again.
I say it all the time. And I caught her. I think I was like 8 years old on the back staircase, but she didn't kiss me. But that's okay, because I get to kiss her all the time now, so which is awesome. And so we just, that's what we do. Our goal is to really not just equip couples. We're not licensed counselors, but we're mentors. So we're marriage mentors. We also do mentoring to youth, to corporate executives as well. I've been in the corporate and executive environment since going back into 1992. As a young executive, I started out working in the music industry, and then transferred into information technology, into artificial intelligence, AI, and robotics, and then to doing a lot of things working with students in schools with social emotional learning, SEL. So, and we both work with students. Both of us work with students in our careers, and we just transitioned. This was something been in the works. MLB Speaks for over 5 years.
Yeah.
And, we really just in 2022, we decided to really take what we're doing, take it on the road to impact communities, churches. We do leadership training as well. So we're a whole gamut, not just defined to one specific sector of people. Also, we have our own curriculum as well, in a book that we have coming out later this year. And we have curriculum actually for single people too.
I love it.
Curriculum for single people. So we're going to do some what we call unbelievable love workshops. So people hear more about that later on, all across the country. And it's a little different. And that basically is going to entail things like music is going to be a part of our conferences. So it's not just going to be people talking at and to you, but we're going to have music artists a part of that. And one of those One of those is some jazz, and then also some urban contemporary music as well. So it's gonna be a different twist. So most people used to just go into a conference and they just sit down. Yeah. Well, ours is it's more interactive. Very interactive.
I love it. Well, I know that people loved your workshop last time because it's the highest viewed video so far for the Yananomics podcast. Yeah, for our Teaching Tuesday. So that's really exciting stuff, you know. So whatever you're doing is really making an impact with people, is really resonating with people. Because every time I go back, it goes, you know, the numbers are going up and up and up. So thank you for that. And like I said, it really does speak to the impact that you have in the community, and your word is good. Like, people are feeling what you have to offer. And I know I'm definitely feeling it. And I appreciate the two of you tonight for facilitating Affair Proof Your Marriage. And you could get right into
and I'll say one thing, you know, we have a very large following in California, Texas, Florida, and the Southeast. Those are some of our biggest followings with, you know, individuals that reach out to us for some support materials that we do provide them. So Houston, Texas, we plan on being out there later this year. Coming to Houston, we'll be down in Florida. Carolinas, we'll be in the Carolinas as well. California is our biggest supporting group right now, and we'll be on the West Coast as well. So though we're in the Northeast, where you at? Northeast?
Yes. Where you at?
Show us some love.
They're looking for you. So if you're looking for support with marriage and, you know, relationships, or with your children, or whatever it may be, like, they looking for you. Okay. So if you're looking for them, they looking for you. So y'all need to connect. And when this concludes, you can share your contact information.
Most definitely.
All right. Wonderful.
So we're just going to jump right in here today. We really want to say thank you to everyone.
Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
And we're going to really go through what does it look like to affair-proof, you know, your marriage. And we know that every marriage will be confronted with the opportunity to have an affair, whether you like it or not, indirectly or directly. And the goal today is to really, you know, as you see on the top left-hand corner of your screen, it says love is
a decision.
And basically, like Nell just said, love is a decision. It's something that one decides to do. It's not a feeling. It's not an emotion.
It's a decision.
That's right. It's a decision. It's something we decide to do. And that's what, and the goal is, as we roll through today's talk, we want you to understand that love is a decision. It's something you decide to do, just like when you got in front of that altar or that church or that hall or that judge, whoever it may be, and said, I do.
I do.
That's right. So with that being said, we're gonna run right into this, and we want you to do us a favor. One, grab yourself a pen and some paper or writing utensil, doesn't matter, crayon, you know, if you got kids. See if you can get yourself aside from the kids, put the kids away, give them their dinner wherever you're at. You may be at work, you may be at home, no matter where you're at, and really pay attention to what we're going to be saying. You may say, I don't do any of these things. Well, if you don't do any of these things, well, guess what? At least you got them in your pocket, and you can say, hey, you know what? At least I know what to look for.
Right. You can always pull them out.
Exactly. Most definitely. So the first thing we want to look at is the question we ask ourselves.
What is marriage?
Well, marriage is a legal union that establishes a couple's rights, privileges, and obligations under the marital union. Now, what that basically says is, as a married couple, there's some benefits to being married. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I know we
benefited.
We benefited. Listen, we filed jointly.
We just did.
Listen, Uncle Sam's not my uncle, but listen, the benefits of being married, you know, you're in a higher tax bracket as a single person.
Yes.
The benefits of being married, you know, we do marriage filing jointly. So there are a lot of benefits for that legal union that establishes your marriage. There are certain rights and privileges but also there are obligations in that marital union.
Falling in love is the easiest part of marriage. Keeping the marriage going takes time, commitment, and perseverance.
Now, this is something we always talk about, and that is, people say you can fall in love and you can fall out of love.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the easiest part. I think about, when a person is dating, right? We know a lot of people, sometimes they're dating and they are, putting their best foot forward.
Always. They don't see the ugly part.
Like they don't fart. Because we know everybody fart stinks.
That's right.
Okay?
Or they don't see you without your makeup. The hair all naughty.
Oh, listen. Listen, the real you, because in that dating phase,
you put your best foot forward.
And no one shows their feet like undone.
Yeah.
You always got your toes done. You always got your hair done. And they don't see the real you sometimes, and guys as well. You know what I mean? So we're not going to put only on the ladies, and we always see, like, when my wife now, she used to come to my apartment was always neat. But when we got married, I was like dropping clothes everywhere. She got to see the real me at that point. So falling in love is the easiest part of marriage, but keeping the marriage going, it takes time, commitment, and perseverance. And you got to persevere.
Yes.
And to persevere, that means you're going to have some difficulties,
hard times,
some challenges.
Definitely.
And some of those challenges and difficulties, it could be financial.
Yes.
What else?
It could be heartaches. It could be problems where financially.
It could be a death in the family, a death of a parent, or death of a sibling or a close friend. So
loss of a job.
A loss of a job.
Yeah.
So a lot of these things, you're going to say, hey, am I really committed to that? The next thing is, if you want to be one of the couples who celebrates their 60th anniversary, now is the time to establish routines that nourish your relationship and create boundaries. And that's very important, that you create boundaries.
I think, too, that when you get into the marriage, the first thing you should automatically say to yourself, hey, we're going to have these boundaries anyway.
That's right. Yeah. And creating those boundaries allows you to protect your marriage.
That's right.
Because we're going to discuss some things today that some of them you may have thought about, and some of them you may not have thought about.
Flirting.
Flirting.
Flirting with danger.
Flirting with who? That's the big question. Flirting with someone other than your spouse should be off limits. Off limits.
Say that again.
Off limits. It should be off limits. And a lot of things happen. It's in flirting, as you know, Nell, and I think we always say, it starts off very innocent, right?
They really do.
Like, you could be at work. You can see, we put the image of these two individuals in a work environment inside of this slide deck presentation, because they didn't get like that overnight.
No. It probably started with a little smile.
Or a simple, how's your day? Rub on the shoulder, rub on the back. Then, get a little more.
Yeah.
Because remember, men and women, we think differently.
Right.
Women, what are they?
They're emotional.
And men are visual. And we have to be very careful when we expose those emotions and those mindsets to someone other than our spouses. Flirting, basically defined. I'll let you take that, babe.
Flirting is behaving as though attracted to but for amusement rather than a serious intention.
That's right. So you're trying. So what Nell is saying is, you're behaving as though you're attracted to someone, but in actuality, flirting, there's no real intentions behind it. And that's important, because you're not going to marry that person.
No.
Because you ask yourself, this person, if they're flirting with you, whether you're a man or a woman, and that other person is, and they're married, and you're a single person, you got to ask yourself, wait,
is he really going to leave his family?
Not only leave his family, leave his spouse or her spouse. And here's the other thing. They will do that to you. So if they're doing that to the other person,
oh yeah, what makes them think he's not going to do it?
Exactly. What makes them think they're not going to do that to you? So sometimes what we do is we throw everything out window and not think logically.
Right.
When scenarios and situations like that begin to come up and creep up into our lives, and we have to be very careful because flirting basically is like, for example, let's give it. And we talked about this before, right? And that was when our kids were young. Nell was pregnant with our first child. And we're thankful. We're blessed. Thank God he's blessed us with 2 beautiful children. Yes, gonna give some props. We have a Coastie son, and we have a daughter who's going to be a pharmacist soon. But when they were little babies running around our house, I ain't gonna say they was Rugrats because because I ain't really big on the Rugrat cartoon. But anyway, when they was running around the house, she said, "Martin, you got to do something to protect our kids."
Yeah.
And what did you tell me to do?
We have to put coverings over the outlets.
And the reason why we had to put the coverings over the outlets because our kids love to eat with their little, bite-sized utensils like little forks and spoons. But because the outlets were on their level,
right,
they would, go towards the outlet. And we always told them, you don't play with the outlets, you play with electricity, but that's why we had the protective covers over the outlets. But here's the thing. If they continue to flirt with that outlet, and then one day they realize we can pry that outlet off with the edge of the knife or the end of the spoon, and they put the spoon in there, they're going to get shocked. And that's what flirting will do. Flirting, you're flirting with danger. You're going to destroy a wonderful marriage that you may have. And what you haven't done, which we're going to talk about later, is you learn how to communicate. And we talked about that really in our last session about communication, right, babe?
Yeah, that was part of one of our habits.
That's right.
Happy habits. Plan a second honeymoon.
That's right.
There's more to a second honeymoon than romantic walks on the beach. Spending the time away could have a long-lasting benefit.
That's right. And we wanted to do this, right? Because we know that planning a second honeymoon is important. You say, I've been married 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, or 20 years. Planning a second honeymoon, it is vital because love is a decision. It's not a feeling or an emotion. It's something you decide to do.
And stir up the romance, focus on love and passion.
So on that second honeymoon, now, what are some of the things that they could focus on? When you think about, we got here, you say, I don't know what to do. I remember people can sometimes say, well, some guys say, I'm not a really romantic guy. Some women says, I don't know what to do. Focus on love and passion. What does that mean? Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think focusing on love and passion, well, to me, I can say that it's those things that you want displayed to you. So I look at it as that, okay, if I want my husband to treat me this way, why don't I go back and do it to him?
That's right.
So if I want that love or I want that passion, I'm creating an atmosphere in my honeymoon room or my honeymoon experience, doing things that I probably haven't done before to spice up, our love life even more.
We're going away this weekend. I think
we really are.
Second honeymoon, or third, or fourth.
It's a good thing to get away.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. The next thing here we say we want to talk about is you want to tackle major issues. So that second honeymoon, it's not like a getaway like your first honeymoon. You just got married. You just said I do. It's all lovey-dovey and everything. But there want to be some purpose on that second honeymoon. Outside of stirring up the romance, like Nell kind of talked about, setting the mood, setting the atmosphere, looking real nice, got that, whatever your night affairs, you in your room, dress it up, rose petals, guys, make it look real nice. But also use that time wisely. Say, hey, to talk about some big decisions that you guys may face as well. And it's not talking about big decisions like arguing, but big decisions that you might want to do, whether it's a relocation of a job
Right.
or, you know, or
Relocation out of the state.
relocating out of the state or
home.
purchasing a major purchase,
Mhm.
things of that nature. So you may have some big decisions or promotion at your job, things of that nature. Take the time because remember, you don't want to take your kids with you on the second honeymoon.
No way.
You don't want to invite no family with you on the
No
second
way.
honeymoon. You want to make sure it's just you and your spouse. That's it.
That's it. Mhm.
It's just him and her.
That's right.
That's it.
Mhm. And also, when you do your second honeymoon, you can stay close to home. It doesn't have to be really expensive.
But no, it doesn't.
Mhm.
You know, there was actually, we're in the New England area, and actually, interesting, I just received, there was like 8 or 9 different small getaways you can go to. And actually, I think I'm going to experience and experiment with some of those getaways. They're right in my area within an hour drive time. And I'm going to eventually share that on our webpage. I'm going to share it on our TikTok, our Instagram, and our Facebook. So you'll be able to see some of those inexpensive ways, you know, $200 a night, but it's a good 1-2 day getaway. But like you said, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. You ain't got to fly out to Cancun.
No, you don't.
Sometimes it's good to get away to a place without a lot of hustle and bustle and busyness.
That's right.
So if you go to Cancun, listen, it's going to be busy.
It's going to be busy.
Sometimes it's good to go somewhere quiet, right?
Absolutely. You can go right up to a Marriott.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
And spend the night away from your home, right?
Yep, that's right.
I think that's a good idea too.
So we want you to be flexible on that second honeymoon. Be flexible.
You could bring a book and journal.
And now she wanted to say this, right? But I'm going to say it. Pick a new wardrobe.
For me or you?
For both of us.
For both of us? Oh, I like that.
Yeah, so I think pick a new wardrobe, you know, rather than going with your normal clothes you pack with. Before you go, say, you know, we're going to go shopping. If you can, within your budget, stay within your budget. Right. We're big on staying within your budget, okay? Pick a new wardrobe. So when you unpack your clothes, guess what? You got a new wardrobe. You're feeling fresh, just like a second honeymoon.
That's right. Everything new.
Everything new.
I like that.
Awesome.
And also, then you can also find a cause and work together.
Now, I love that because you want to begin to build and impact your community together as a couple. You want me to say it again? You want to begin to build and impact your community together as a couple. And basically all we're saying is volunteer. You need to volunteer. And as a couple, you know, to give you some inspiration, I don't know how it happened, but going back probably 8 years ago, maybe 9 years ago, I don't know if it was you or me, but we met a social worker.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do recall that.
And how would you tell it? Share.
And what it is that we connect with a social worker, and we decided that we wanted to impact a family, and we were able to connect with a couple of families, and we're able together to go shopping for the family. They were in hardship, and
once a month
yeah, we would go food shopping or either clothes shopping
or things they need in their home,
whatever they need.
And we don't say this to laud over or to brag or anything, but we say this as a couple. These are things that, you know, you could do together.
Right.
And I think you kind of alluded to some of these things in our last habit session. And that is, it builds a strong bond between the couple. You're building on something other than sex in the bedroom.
Absolutely. And it was a great feeling for both of us, and something that we did together. And you know, we cherish that moment, and we still talk about it. And we're grateful that we had that opportunity to do that for those families.
That's right. So there's going to be a lot of opportunities for you to do that, whether to volunteer your time, whether it's for the youth, a pantry, a food pantry,
right.
A homeless shelter.
That's right. Or even your neighborhood park, clean it up.
Your neighborhood park. You can do it together as a couple, or you can get some other couples to do it with you.
Right.
You got a lot of senior citizen
That are
centers.
lonely, you can go visit some seniors.
There are a lot of, actually, you'd be surprised how many seniors, couples, and singles are in some of the senior homes. They would love to have someone to come in to play some checkers with them. Now let them win the game, okay? All right, all right. The VA also is another place, because we forget about our veterans.
That's right.
And them serving our country, and how as a couple you can go out and be make a big impact in them. So great futures as a couple, great futures are built with a little bit of charity. So you can help someone else have a great future by your little bit of charity that you give and do to them. So together, you want to donate with love. And what are we talking about? Donate, as you can see on your screen there. And that is, what do you want to donate?
Love.
Love. And that is beyond your love, your time, your talent, and you could find some items around your house that you no longer use.
That's true.
Can I donate that Vitamix that you got? Oh, that's right. We don't have the Vitamix. You want that Vitamix. Yeah. But you can find things around the house that you could donate, which would be really good. So, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Create an atmosphere of open communication. And that goes back to where we would talk about in our healthy habits about communication, right?
That's right.
And to fear-proof our marriage, that goes back again, talking, having communication with your spouse.
And not just climbing up. Was it Bugs Bunny? And he said he had a Elmer Fudd, he said he had a button up. I think we wouldn't last it this long as we've lasted now if we didn't have open communication. And I think our first line of open communication started when we got married back in 1996, and
it was about money.
No, I would say before that, actually.
Oh, before that?
When we came back from our honeymoon, and
yes.
And I said, babe, you know what? What do you think about Florida? And then I told her my job, we're gonna get relocated, and I got relocated to Florida for my job.
That's right.
And it was great. They paid for everything, which is fantastic. I was a young sales executive in marketing at the time in the music industry, but I mean, we communicated. But then down the road, they ended up filing bankruptcy.
Right.
And we came upon, after our money started getting depleted, we fell on really difficult, hard times financially.
Right.
And that's when we thought we had good communication going on about money, which is the first thing on there. But then we learned we really didn't.
No, we had a difference
of how we looked at money.
I think that's what it is.
And, we went to premarital coaching before we got married. But I don't think this part came up because it was interesting because we're down to maybe $2,000 at that point.
Yeah, we're getting pretty low.
And back then, rents were really inexpensive, when we lived in Florida. Beautiful community.
Yeah.
But
we were depleting our savings.
It was dwindling down.
Yeah, it was really depleted at that point.
But then you pulled out, she pulled out all this money from underneath the mattress, like an envelope, like she just robbed the bank. She's counting all this money, not like 10, 20, like 100, 1,000, 1,500, 2,000. I'm like, where'd all this money come from? She goes, my mama, what your mother? You see your mother always say?
My mom always says, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Her mom didn't talk to me. I didn't get that memo. Okay. So
she said save it for a rainy day. And we were having a storm.
She didn't tell me though.
She told me.
She didn't tell me that. Anyway, what we did was we learned that day that we really needed to learn how to communicate.
Yeah.
We learned that was our first moment to learn what it's like to have an open communication.
Right.
Because what that open communication about money did was, it's not like hiding money, going to do something and spending money with another woman or man. See, it starts right there with us.
Yeah.
And then also another, how you create an atmosphere of open communication, be open about past relationships.
Well, that's a good one.
Because I think when we were putting together this presentation, you mentioned social media.
Oh, yeah. Because, someone you haven't seen for many years could, DM you and like, hey, how you doing? and someone be like, "Ooh, he looking good.
She looking fine."
What?
And that's how you can really destroy your marriage.
That's right.
There's a story about a gentleman who actually, he was up one night, his wife was in the bed sleeping, and he heard a ding on his phone, and he went to go check it, and actually the person had said, "Hey, Michael, I was just checking you out. I haven't seen you in a long time. It's been years." And he said, "Oh my goodness, I ain't seen her in a long time." So he ended up taking her friend request, and he took her friend request. She said, "Michael, I wanted to tell you something." She typed it in there. "You know what? I've always liked you." And he was kind of taken aback, like,
Man, you
whoa.
should. Red flags start going.
He's like taken aback. And here his wife is sleeping.
Yeah.
And make a long story short, I mean, this guy was like, "Man, I just accepted her friend request." He said, man, he unfriended her immediately. And he says, "My wife is sleeping over here. She left her brother, she left her mom and dad to come live with me and marry me. She's raised our kids. Listen, it ain't worth it." You ask yourself, and you have to be very careful with past relationships,
Right.
Because it can actually destroy your marriage.
Well, I want to take it a little further and say it's in the past for a reason.
That's right. It's in the past. Listen, you know what they say? Wait. You know what they say? The rear view mirror is only this big, but the windshield is large. And there's a reason for that. The windshield is what you have right in front of you. You want to keep that past relationship that you had any kind of intimate relationship with, you want to keep it right there in the rear view mirror, right behind you.
And then also you have to be careful of opposite sex friendship that create boundaries. There's people like, "Oh, that's just my friend."
Listen, that could be a very dangerous thing.
I think so too.
So if you find yourself spending
a lot more time with that friend
who is not your spouse, listen, and you don't create no boundaries in that so-called friendship,
right.
That friendship is going to end up being more than a friendship.
That's right.
Because then you're going to begin talking about things
that you probably shouldn't be talking about
to this so-called friend who is of the opposite sex about your marriage.
About your relationships and the
That's
things
right.
that is going on
in your home.
Right. So you're basically opening up a can of worms and can start a fire.
Yes. And that brings us to be respectful in your heated discussions. We don't call them arguments and things like that. We call them heated discussions. So in your open communication, be respectful of one another. And the nice thing here is you want to have open communication when it comes to sex.
Absolutely.
And a lot of times people, we don't like to talk about sex. Married couples, in the religious community, the Christian community, that is something that actually they don't like to talk about. But you need to keep an open communication when it comes to sex. And we're gonna dive into that a little bit as well. Which brings us to this next slide, which we want to talk about, which a lot of people do not like to talk about because it's one of the forbidden things to not want to talk about.
And that's called pornography.
Pornography actually has destroyed a lot of things. See, avoid inviting porn into your relationship. And we say that with passion. Avoid inviting porn into your relationship. It's very important you avoid that. Porn, what does it do, babe?
It creates unrealistic expectation on your spouse. You're living in a fantasy.
It's not real.
Nah.
It's a fantasy.
Yeah.
And I think you had came up with this yesterday, not yesterday, but the other day when we were looking at what do we want to talk about. And porn is a fantasy.
It is a fantasy.
It's not real life. And I know, for example, come on, we all grew up with the Roadrunner, Bugs Bunny, those of us who are older, SpongeBob is out there, cartoon. It's not real. It's on TV. Everyone, when they go to the internet, some people, they think they go, I seen it on the internet. It must be real. No, you vet that out. Might be a lie. But porn, it creates unrealistic expectations. It's a fantasy. Porn can become addictive and very destructive. It can basically, I think you brought it out the best when you shared that it can actually not just destructive, they become violent.
It really can become very violent
and abusive. And most people think it's just men, right?
Yeah, but it's not. Women does it. Women do it as well.
That's right. And I want to ask you, I want to pose this one here now, and that is, a lot of people think men are the only ones are abusive in relationships.
Well, that is not true at all. That's far from the truth. Some women are very, very violent.
Very abusive.
And very abusive, to their spouse. Absolutely.
So porn in your relationship, it can lead to illegal activity. So you may ask yourself, how could having porn in my relationship lead to illegal activity? Well, guess what? When the thrill is gone, it's like a gateway. You graduate. When that next thing does not
satisfy,
you want to go to the next thing. And unfortunately, when you feel you're not getting that satisfaction from your spouse, listen, who wants to be married to someone, and whether it's the husband or the wife who watches porn, and you're having sexual relations, you're having sex with that individual, and guess what? They're having sex with the image that's in their head rather than their spouse. And that is problematic. And then it becomes lethargic.
Yes.
No longer interesting. And then the other person is going to feel inferior and not loved. And they're gonna feel that.
And then it also creates a wandering eye to others.
That's right. And because you no longer
satisfied and
looking at your spouse is like, wow, she's beautiful, he's handsome.
Right.
You're out in public and your eyes are always looking elsewhere. And that's what porn does. It takes away the satisfaction from your spouse.
So porn destroys marriages, and it will have one desiring something of your spouse that they don't have, like
certain looks, certain body parts, and flexibility. Now, I'm gonna tell you straight out, porn makes people look like they real flexible. There's certain body parts we know. Come on, if there's soft porn, then there's hardcore porn, and that's not a real person. They've had modifications to their body and things of that nature, and it destroys marriages. And it's going to make you want to desire something other than your spouse. This brings us to this next point.
Show affection and have sex regularly.
Now, the doctor tells us you need to have a vitamin a day. Now, I ain't saying you got to have sex every day. Okay. That's a lot. 7 days a week. I haven't met no married couple that has sex every day. Okay. But not having sex will make the marriage vulnerable to outsiders and to porn. And it's imperative. It's very important that you have sex on a regular basis. You have to figure out between you and your spouse what is ideal. Because what happens, you need to show affection and have sex regularly. So it can get busy, right?
Absolutely, get busy, and then that can cause someone to want to step outside of the marriage.
Yes.
Right.
And with busy lives, work lives, your kids, if you got small children, work, stress can impact one's sex life.
Absolutely. So you always have to talk about your sex life.
That's right. And a lot of times we don't want to talk about the difficult things, right now?
Absolutely.
And that's why we go back to that earlier slide. You want to be open communication to talk about these things, because it's going to give you a much stronger and better marriage and sex life.
Make your spouse first priority.
Listen, not the second.
No.
Not the third.
No way.
Not the fourth. Not the fifth.
No.
What?
No.
First priority.
First one, right?
That's right.
Absolutely. Having a successful marriage take work, where they just don't happen. Couples have to be willing to put in the work, and marriage is work.
It is work. Listen, we've learned, and a lot of married people who are watching have been married for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And if you're just engaged right now, you're about to get married, and if you are 1 year or 2 year or 3 years married, listen, it's work. You have to be willing. Now I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna bring it home.
Okay, let's hear it.
We're a basketball family here. LeBron James, okay? LeBron James plays for the Lakers. Now, I enjoy playing basketball in my younger days, okay? I even coached in the summer a group of young men and women in our community. I coach basketball in the summertime. Now, here's the thing. LeBron James got some good knees. And I got good knees too. But you give me LeBron knees and his legs, let me tell you something. Listen, I will out-jump anybody in my age bracket today.
But you still got to do the work. I don't care how much you get his knees.
Listen. Okay.
Nice one.
Okay. But you like them fakers anyway.
Okay, don't worry about it.
But don't worry. We looking good this year. My Miami Heat looking good. Okay, we're looking. All right, we're looking good. We're in playoffs. I hope we sweep Atlanta. Anyway, but anyway, marriage, as you said earlier, it takes work, and you have to be willing to put in the work.
Right.
Now, if you're not willing to put in the work, now LeBron James, he put in the work to do what he does. You think about it. Every sports player, Jordan, all of them. Julius Erving, they put in the work to get done the things that they've done.
Get to the level where they are.
With level. Absolutely. So if you want your marriage to grow and get to the level where it needs to be, you got to put the work in.
You got to put the work in. Right.
Because your marriage is going to get pulled from many different sides.
Absolutely.
And one of those is what?
Your in-laws.
Now,
but wait, for the record, I love my in-laws.
And I love mine too.
I must say we have
good relationships with our in-laws.
I must say that. But there are those who don't.
Listen, they despise their in-laws. And they can't stand. They goes, oh, your mother coming over again? Your dad? I can't stand them. Why are they coming over anyway? Well, they're my parents. So marriages, they get pulled from all sides. And you have to be very careful. As you can see, the image here is not allowing your in-laws to come between you and your spouse.
Yeah.
Now remember, I think you said it best. That in-law is going to leave, right?
Absolutely. Your mom, like I'm looking at this picture here. I'm assuming it's her mom, and she's watching her child, the couple disagree, and she has this look on her face and saying, oh yeah, you tell them. But what you don't realize that 9 times out of 10, they're going to make up.
That's right. But she is going to have animosity.
I'm about to say she's going to harbor something
in her heart
against
the other person.
Right.
About the other one that's not her child.
Right.
So, and that's why you don't want to invite your in-laws into things. Sometimes it's good just keep them out. Keep family out of your business. Okay?
Yeah.
All right? Unless they're giving some wise
counsel,
suggestions, listen, just keep them out.
Yeah.
Marriages get pulled from all sides, even with their kids.
Absolutely.
As you can see, one of the images right there, the possibility one of the children may want one thing and they're having a heated discussion right there, as you can see. One thing we did was our children would try to come to us and be like, oh, Dad, Mom said yes. What do you think? Like they're trying to play us.
Size? Yeah, that was
play us. But we already came. Our kids knew when they were little they couldn't play us because we was like, well, listen, if your mom said no, if your dad said no, it's no.
That's it.
It is what it is. So don't try to play us, because believe me, kids will play. But marriages, children in the marriage, it's not the children, but marriage get pulled from all sides by kids.
Yeah.
And the kids are not doing it. It's the adult doing it and putting the child,
allowing the child
in the scenario to pull that marriage apart, not realizing, wait, we need to work this out. Right. Okay. Let's not do this. We need to be, we're adults. We need to maturely, openly work through whatever this issue may be.
Absolutely. And our parents have to realize too that eventually those children are going to grow up and they're going to leave you. They're going to be like, bye.
That's
I'm
right.
out of here.
That's right. They're going to leave. They may come back
They may
sometime.
come back, but
That's okay. But eventually they're going to leave. So
Exactly.
you always want to remind yourself, I am married to my spouse.
That's right.
The Bible says to leave and cleave, not to your kids, but to your spouse.
That's right.
The last one is, marriages, they get pulled apart from all sides by friends.
Ooh.
Yes, that's a big one, because people goes, why are you always spending time with him? You never spend time with us.
Right.
Well, that is your spouse.
That's right.
Or vice versa. Like, you never get to go. Well, now there are times where you should, you can spend time with your friends, and things of that nature. But when people say, when they're overbearing, so you need to spend more time with us.
Right.
Well, you're not married to them. You're married to your spouse.
That's right.
So this brings us to the conclusion of what we really want to, talk about it, and that is, after, how to we fair-proof your marriage. Basically is, you have to what now?
You have to evaluate and invest.
Now, if you want to grow your retirement, if you want to grow your bank account, if you want to learn something, do something different, you need to evaluate your situation and you need to invest. Whatever it is in life. But today we're talking about how to fair-proof your marriage.
Right.
So you want to have a strong marriage, you want to have a strong relationship, you need to evaluate and invest. You need to take annually time to attend a marriage workshop, like our unbelievable conference that we're going to be starting up later this year.
So look forward
to that, right? So you want to take time, you want to invest in it, whether it's $100 or $50 or $250.
Right.
Because if you're not investing in annually in your marriage, trust me, just like a motor vehicle, you got to take your car in for a checkup.
That's right.
We just took our car in today for a checkup to make sure everything's working well. It's vital.
And also too, we have a tendency to invest in all other areas of our lives.
That's true, except marriage. We do, which is kind of disheartening and sad.
Yes.
The next thing you want to evaluate and invest, purchase some books and literature. Now, we do have a book coming out later this year, but before that, listen, don't wait till then.
Right. There's tons of research.
Tons. Matter of fact, there's some you can go on our website, www.mlbspeaks.com, and you could find some ebooks that we have. We do have a couple e-papers that we put out, your mindset, unbelievable love, different things you can email us at info@mlbspeaks.com. And listen, we have some resources, some free resources that we could send over to you to help equip you to have a much stronger and better marriage. Now, here it is. Also, to evaluate and invest in your marriage, to fair-proof it,
you have to connect with other couples for mentoring.
It's very important. And we've done this since day one, since we've been married. Connecting with other couples for mentoring, and not necessarily somebody very closely. Try to get to know someone that's new. They may be outside of your sphere of influence, but they could be in your sphere of influence.
That's true.
But somebody that's going to be agnostic, and you can actually have real conversations, and they understand the term confidentiality. That's something.
Big on that.
We're big on that. Listen, if you think that person's not going to be confidential, don't tell them nothing. Listen, that's just how we live. And it's very important. So now, this brings us to the last point, and that is, you can reach us at mlbspeaks.com. What I want you to do is pick out your phone right now. I want you to like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, like us on Instagram, on LinkedIn as well. Now, we would love to come to your church, your school. We're not going to talk marriage and things at your school like this, okay? But I would love to come to your school, mentor kids, the youth, whether it's your organization, corporate executives. Listen, from a, multi-year $1 million seller, 10 million plus. Outside of that, President's Club, really showing your sales team and your marketing team what does it look like to be successful and what does a successful mindset look like. So outside of those particular things, we love together doing marriage workshops. And that's our nuts and bolts of what we do together. But listen, call us, we'll work it out. If you're on the West Coast, fly us there. We'll work it out, whatever has to be done. So we appreciate you guys listening in today.
Thank you for having us.
Oh my goodness, that was so good. You guys are so amazing. Thank you so much for that. Like, the knowledge and the gems you dropped were extensive. Like, that was so thorough, so good. I truly appreciate you two so much. Um, I know, like, I've never been married, but it's something that I would like to do. I think that there's a lot of things that for me, I know I want to work on within myself to be the best partner that I could possibly be. And that takes a lot of self awareness, just, being honest, like a lot of honesty. And I like how you all talk about communication with your partner because everybody comes with something that we're dealing with. And
Baggage.
you have to, exactly. And there has to be a platform where you can have that discussion with your partner and it be a safe space to talk about these things.
That's right.
So that they can understand who you are, how you operate, and why, and how you got there. So like, the communication for me is everything. So I'm so glad you touched on that. How love is a decision, because I think a lot of times I watched this. 90 days. What is it called?
90 days. I know you're talking about. Yeah, I've seen that. 90 Days Fiance.
Yeah, 90 Day Fiance. So I talk about this example because it's really interesting to me, because when we talk about love being a decision, I think culturally how we approach love is very different, all depending on where you come from, right? So in your background. So this particular couple was an American couple, of course. And a woman, the guy was American and the woman was Russian. And he was getting upset with her because she was not saying I love you. His friends were getting upset, influencing him, being all in his head, his family. Oh, she didn't say I love you. She didn't say this. She didn't do this. She didn't do that. And her perspective was she felt like Americans say I love you, but they don't really like show it or mean it. It's a very shallow thing.
Empty.
And she didn't like that she was being pressured to say I love you. She wanted to feel it. She wanted it to be authentic and for it to come from within. But anybody she tried to express that to, anybody she tried to talk to about that, they just were not trying to hear it. They just thought that that's what she should feel. And basically, if if she didn't, then she didn't really love him. Or excuse me, then she wasn't. I got thrown off for a second by looking at the comment, but basically, like, if she did not say that had something to do, oh yeah, with her intentions. That's what I was trying to say.
It's sort of
About
like,
wanting to come to America
Yep.
and things like that. And you would think that it would be because she's like, oh, I love you, I love you, I love you, that they would be suspicious. But, so it just made me think about that and how she really desired an authentic feeling and an expression of actions over time.
Yes, right.
to, be able to say like, yeah, this is exactly like where I'm at with it. And like you say, it's a decision. They were trying to force it on her. She wanted to make the decision on her own when the time was right. And being that, we're talking about marriage, I mean, because that's 90 Day Fiance. They haven't known each other for long, but you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's a little bit of a different scenario, because a
That,
lot of
that,
times,
that
people
that's a
might,
fast food relationship.
oh, big time.
Do
Big
you want, like they'll say, you want fries with that?
time. Well, though, some people have met and have had long standing
Oh yeah.
marriages and relationships, even though they hadn't known each other for very long. But
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Oh
I mean,
definitely.
that is definitely like pushing the process forward, and it's not natural, because it's not like they're living together, they're together all the time, or you know what I mean, it's like really broken up because they're in different countries and things like that. But
Yeah,
anyway,
we have some good friends of ours. Listen, I mean, they're two different sides of the globe,
mm-hmm.
and they met each other over the internet, actually. And you know
Wow.
what? Honestly, they got one of the strongest marriages that you could think of.
Yeah.
And they
Wow.
love each other. They're good friends of ours. So, and like you said, it boils down to, it's not just throwing this word out there, love. I
Mm-hmm.
kind of like despise. It's like people have demeaned the word. Oh, I love you. I love you. And it taken away the true value and the meaning of what it means with the deepness of it. When it's not just like we throw it out there like it's dog food.
Mm.
Really?
Yeah, have you ever watched Big Brother?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, so it's basically a
I
game
just watch
of
Big Brother on the internet. He watches all of
conniving.
us.
Yeah, I know, right? It's like basically like you have to be conniving, in order to make it. I mean, like some people, whatever. Anyways, so in that show, it bugs me out. It just trips me out. People are telling each other like I love you, like so early on. They've just met these people, like it's just so weird to me how loosely we
Toss
use
around that
the
word
Yeah.
too.
word. And
Hmm.
Well,
now,
that's just
like
to get
you
what they want,
say,
basically, a
the
lot of times.
value,
So,
yeah, the value in the word doesn't exist. It's really about the actions. It's about the
Hmm.
decisions and the choices that we make, right?
true.
um
No, we really enjoyed tonight.
Great, thank you. There was a couple more things I wanted to talk about.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm glad you really enjoyed it, because I thoroughly enjoyed it, and that's why I wanted to get into a few of these things that you all cover. I took no, I got notes. Okay,
Girl,
notes.
you got a notebook there. We're going
And
to be into like another hour. Oh, we
listen,
got another hour. Chill.
no, no. I took notes from your workshop. These
I'm
are
just,
not the
I'm just
notes of things
messing.
I want to
Listen,
add.
that's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, you know what? Hey, you know what? We appreciate seeing the fact that people who are watching
Watching
that
and they're taking notes.
you took notes.
Yeah.
Really, and that's the goal. We don't want
Yeah,
people just to watch and listen to us. We want you to really take it in.
Right.
I mean, you think
right,
about whatever your favorite meal is, which is what is fried chicken, it's
right,
couscous, or whatever it is.
right.
Treat it like that. Chew on it.
Hmm.
Yes,
Chew on it, man.
absolutely. And I'm not even married. So,
That's the
but
best
I'm
time to
That's
like,
the
do
you
it.
know
best
what?
time.
I want to get a head start, okay?
There you go.
Like, so he know I'm
Listen,
ready, okay? I'm
There you
ready, ready.
go.
I got my notes. MLB Speaks came on. They showed me what to do, so I'm gonna put you on, boo. So, I love it.
listen. You are armed. You packed. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
She's
You
right.
packed. Honestly,
yes.
because I mean, one of the worst things people could do is go into a business or whatever it is without getting knowledge. Knowledge. Listen,
Mhm.
someone knew what somebody told me when I was a young man. He said, "Love isn't love until you share it."
Oh, I love that.
Think about it. So you got all this information packed up in your head, but if you ain't sharing it, you don't really love people.
What is the value of it, right?
There's no value.
Hmm.
And guess what? Listen, we're born to die. Well, I'm not gonna. We're born to die. So guess what? This video will live on for a long, long, long time.
Mhm.
And hopefully that when people watch this 2 years, 5 years, 20 years down the road, they go, you know what, man? He was on Yananomics. That was talking some real talk. That's
Yes,
what they talked like back in
yes.
2022.
I love it. No, like absolutely. I'm with you 100% when it comes to that. And I just found your workshop overall to be, I mean, okay, I thought it was very interesting, your approach to it. But then I said to myself, well, you're not married. You never been to a marriage workshop. So I don't really know what to expect, from getting advice and things like that. I don't have anything to compare it to. But I feel like from the things that I've seen quite a few things, and in my day and in my time, in my research, and I find your presentation to be very unique, and interesting. And I find that, like, when you, I mean, obviously things like, okay, make your spouse your first priority and things like that, not let people intervene. Like, some of the things are basic, but then I was like, okay, when you start talking about porn and inviting it into your relationship and things like that, like, I find that to be so interesting and of great value, because maybe people didn't even consider even thinking about how porn might have a negative impact, or maybe they're already dealing with something in the relationship, and because they've already introduced porn and they're like, oh shoot, maybe, like, this has something to do with that. So I mean, I feel like it's so much value in your perspective and your
Well,
approach to this.
we try to grab topics that people shy away
Shy
from.
away. They don't want to
Mhm.
discuss those
Listen,
things.
you'll never hear, even at marriage workshop, people talk about pornography,
Mm,
and because it creates a level of distrust in the relationship. I mean,
mhm.
listen, you're a married couple, you having sex with your partner, they think about some image on a freaking screen in their head.
Yeah,
Listen, that's a
yeah,
fantasy.
And that's
yeah.
something that will keep retracting over and
Over
over
and
and
over
over
and over
again.
again.
Mhm, mhm.
So no matter what your spouse does, they would never appease that individual. So that
Right.
right there will cause so many other issues in your marriage.
Absolutely. And it's interesting about how popular pornography is. I'm not into that, and I would like for my spouse to not be into that. But when you go out and you talk to people, like, so many people are into it.
And
And they may not be realizing the impact that it's having on them in their relationship and their expectations. And,
Yeah.
it does.
while
Yeah.
sex is not working or whatever it may be, they are probably just oblivious
Yeah.
They are.
to,
They
They
are.
are
But
really.
it.
it,
And
yeah,
yeah, I just find it to be a natural, kind of like a little bit odd, a little weird. Like, I don't know. I
it
like
used to be.
sexual stuff, but I just find like it's just a lot. It's just too much.
It used to be men only.
Right. And now it's women. And
True.
you know what?
Yeah.
Pornography is just a lie.
That's
Yeah.
all it
Yeah.
is.
It's a lie.
It's the biggest
It is
lie.
a big lie. Yeah. And I mean, I think there's something to be said about keeping it interesting in the bedroom and
You can.
things like that. Like, of course, that's a value, finding new things and interesting things to do to spice it up. Should that be what you would like to do? Maybe go to a show that is, not a strip show, but they call them burlesque. Like, I guess there could be
I don't
different
know what that
themes.
is.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like,
But we try.
it's
Our
not
big thing is really try not to
like
introduce things
art.
outside of the marriage. We always tell people you could be very creative in your marriage, in the bedroom,
Mhm.
and from a spiritual perspective, the marriage bed is undefiled. You listen, all's game in your bedroom. That's what you and your
Yeah,
spouse. All's game. Listen,
yeah,
all's
yeah.
game. Now, let me. I'm going to clarify that is you both got to agree on it now.
Yeah.
You know
Right,
what I'm saying? Be like,
right.
like somebody hanging from the ceiling, saying you both got to agree on, okay?
But
All right?
I think that there's a lot of things you can learn from a burlesque show, because a lot of it is just about the art of intimacy, the art of movement, and things like that, of the body, and all these things. It's not about sex. So I'm just saying, like, you got to look somewhere to get your inspiration, right?
Yeah. Here's another thing.
Well,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, only thing I was going to say is that, well, you can also, that goes back into communication. You know what I mean? You don't have to look, but you can actually uh,
There,
tell your
yeah,
spouse.
there are books. There are books
There's
out there.
books, there's
Actually, there are
literature.
actually books out there that can actually say, hey, you know what? You know, while my sex life is like, it's like, it's like, it's like watching Cheerios get soft in cereal. Not very interesting. Um, and you can listen. Here's the thing. It goes back to what we said. The last slide. You got to invest,
Yeah,
learn, read. Listen,
yeah.
it's 2022. You get
Right.
free books online to learn about anything you want nowadays.
I know that's
There's
right.
no
Well, so
excuses. I tell
exactly
people,
to your point, actually, Bruce Ellis, who is watching via YouTube, he says you buy the Kama Sutra book or game if you want bedroom creativity. So, to your point, that's
yeah,
like a perfect example.
yeah, people have to, and it goes. You have to really be willing to invest. Bruce. I
Mhm.
know Bruce Ellis. What's going on, Bruce? How you doing?
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
he said beautiful, phenomenal words, beautiful couple as
Thank you, Bruce.
well. Yeah, he's good peoples. I really like Bruce. He has great energy. Um, yeah, so I mean, I could go on because there was a little bit about everything that you touched on that resonated with me. But, I want for people to connect with you and get
Please.
what they need, the mentorship that they might need, the services or resources that they might need should they find themselves in trouble or before they get into it. Because it's not always about being reactive, it's about being proactive.
Proactive,
And
We're,
this
absolutely.
workshop for folks who are not married or
that's right.
they're engaged or whatever, this is a very proactive thing that they can incorporate. This is something that they can watch,
That's right.
That's
you
right.
know, for them to work on and solidify and fortify their bond with one another
Now just
as well.
imagine. Now just imagine, and this is the last thing I'll say, and that is, if you're a single person, we're going to speak to this part here,
Mhm.
and you're not married, or if you're engaged, what better time to learn before you get into that type of engagement or entanglement and marriage commitment, or as we call it, a covenant? What better? Why wait till after the fact?
Mhm.
Um, you don't want on the job training.
No.
Right.
You know what I'm
Prepare
saying?
ahead of time.
You want to know ahead of time.
Prepare ahead of time.
In actuality, we've been blessed tremendously because
We
we
had had some great
we had some great training before we got married. I'm gonna be
absolutely.
honest with
We
you.
had some great marriage
So
mentors. Yes, we
we
had.
had great marriage mentors.
Mhm.
Stephen Ginger, good people we've
Yes.
known for over 30 some years.
Yes.
Um,
Wayne and Diane.
Wayne and Diane, good people who've been in our lives.
Right.
And you got to, as a single person, listen, pick the brains of some married couple that you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Listen, not the one with the broken marriage, but the ones who are doing well, but they're gonna tell you straight up, there's some challenges.
Absolutely.
They're gonna
Yes.
be real with. They're gonna be real with
Mhm.
you. Um,
Right.
so
Right.
that's our advice. Like you
Yes,
got something
thank
else.
you. Yeah, that was amazing. Like, thank you so much. You dropped so many gems. Like I said, I really, 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 truly appreciate you all being on the Yananomics podcast. Teach Me Tuesday. Yes, and
Thanks for
for
having
being
us.
and for being our highest viewed
Well,
video thus
we're
far.
hoping this will exceed those expectations and then some.
Yes, I love it. I love it. And I hope that for you as well. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night. And I will see you in the future. Peace.
All
Awesome.
right. Thank
Thanks.
you. Good night.
Night.
All right, everyone. So I am going to get into thanking our sponsors for the evening. I wish I had had some time to put together a new slide to add our new sponsors. However, that will have to be our next episode. So for tonight, I would like to thank Mr. Rashidi Lacario, who is a credit repair specialist for KT Appraisals. I have utilized his services and he is wonderful. His services are effective. So do hit him up. That's Rashidi Lucario, and that's rktappraisals.com. And next, we have educator and entrepreneur, Ms. Hi, Empress, Ms. Carol Kelly. Thank you. Hey, Michael. My family is here, y'all. Mrs. Carol Kelly. I have utilized her. Hi, Michael. Don't leave yet. Her tutoring services for my son. She is amazing with how she prepares her. Like all of the spreadsheets, everything that she does. She's really, really amazing and thorough. And also tonight's workshop facilitator, MLB Speaks. That is also one of our sponsors tonight. Thank you so much. They are marriage and youth motivators. You can reach them anywhere on all the platforms under. Oh man, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah. I was trying to take that comment down, but anyways, you could reach them anywhere under MLB Speak. And then, of course, there is yours truly, Empress Ayana. I am a lifestyle enrichment specialist, but I'm actually going to be changing that to lifestyle elevation specialist. I'm actually in the process of rebranding and really working on getting to all the paper. So, yes, hit me up. I offer a plethora of services, some including graphic design. I do website designs, I do flyers, logos. I'm starting to get into that, and that's been going really, really well. Look out for my new logo, y'all. I also offer holistic health services. So, should you need a consultation if you're looking to get your wellness in order, you are being proactive about something related to your wellness, you can also contact me related to that. I am a certified holistic health consultant as well as a certified sexual assault counselor. So hit me up for a meal plan or any type of holistic health plan. Yeah. Oh, and obviously Yananomics podcast, advertising sponsorships, and lots of other things that I offer. If you would like to become a Yananomics advertising sponsor, here is the layout that we have. I try to make sure that I had something in all income levels, like for anybody that is struggling, or, this is just the max of your budget, $50. I have something for you, $75, and then $125 as well. We have two different designs, all depending on which tier you choose. So we have our essential level design as well as our gold level design. Oh, see, this is not correct. We do have another Teach Me Tuesday facilitator orientation coming up. So if you do have an area of expertise and you would like to share that with the world, our entrepreneur, business, whatever it may be, or just want to come do a talk and tell people about what it is that you do hit me up. I will have another facilitator orientation coming up soon. If you're not a member of the Yananomics podcast on Facebook, do join so that you can know when the next orientation is going to be coming up. As I already spoke to a little bit, I do offer several different services, holistic health, business development, as well as the Yananomics podcast. So hit a sister up, okay? Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Thank you so much for watching Affair Proof Your Marriage, facilitated by MLB Speaks. They did an amazing job. You're amazing. I hope that you found this information very valuable. Have a wonderful night. Peace.